you Americans of Japanese descent have a right to be proud. You have demonstrated true Americanism and true American citizenship on the field of battle. You have realized the necessity of leaving your homes and your loved ones in order that you could destroy this enemy who would take from you the American way of life and the freedoms which we value so highly in America. You are always willing to close with the enemy. He has no bluff on you, and you've always defeated him. And let me tell you again, America is proud of you.
Americans with Japanese faces and Japanese names. They're members of the Japanese-American Combat Team, formed by special order of the Secretary of War early in 1943, made up entirely of volunteers. Many of them volunteered to fight when they were behind the barbed wire enclosures of Relocation Centers, where they had been moved in 1942, soon after the outbreak of war. They volunteered to fight for the land of their birth, the adopted land of their parents. These pictures show the Japanese-American Combat Team in training. These boys look like tough fighters. Aren't you glad they're on our side? Learning how to use a bayonet and a rifle is part of the primary training of almost every soldier, especially an infantryman. Along with it, he learns how to throw a hand grenade and how to protect himself against gas. In a gas mask, all American soldiers look alike. These men are getting acquainted with a machine gun. They start on an older model, but it uses real bullets and makes plenty of noise. One crew takes the gun while the rest of the company watches, then change positions. Every man knows his job and all the other positions in the gun crew, and he's learned it by putting out just a little more than he had to. Field training is one step closer to readiness for actual combat.
Here, after bitter fighting, they enter Livorno. The men deploy cautiously, wary of enemy snipers that have been left behind. They've got a reason for being one of the top outfits in this war, as one of them testifies.
I'm from Seattle. After war was declared, I was evacuated from the Pacific coast. When the call came for volunteers for a combat team, I volunteered from a relocation center to show my loyalty and to prove that I had the right to live as a good American citizen.
That's why these men originally volunteered, and why for 11 long months now, they've been in continuous combat. They've wanted to prove to other Americans how wrong it is to judge a man by the pigment of his skin or the shape of his eyes.
Lieutenant O'Hara, your battalion has done a wonderful job in this Italian campaign. What are your reasons for fighting?
I'm fighting over here for the better things of life and to preserve the American way of living.
500 proud members of the 442nd Infantry Regiment, mostly American-born Japanese, swings down Constitution Avenue in Washington for another ceremony in their honor. Nisai marched smartly onto the ellipse near the White House, where President Truman, Secretary Patterson, and Admiral Leahy are gathered. Regimental colors are brought forward to receive the 8th Presidential Unit Citation held by the 442nd. Nisai hear President Truman's tribute.
You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice, and you won. Keep up that fight, and we'll continue to win. We'll make this great republic stand for just what its Constitution says it stands for: the welfare of all the people, all the time.
These soldiers, true Americans.